Welcome back to another tip-top tool tip. Today we're talking about safety wire pliers. Whether you're trying to keep a bolt from backing out or you're trying to keep a shackle from falling off, safety wire is the answer, and we're going to talk about how to do it. All right, so here I have a set of safety wire pliers. They open up like normal pliers, and they have a little cutter right here that actually allows you to snip off the ends. Now, you need to squeeze them together and slide this little silver bar back to have them close. So you push hard here and slide this piece back, and that will actually lock them in place. I'll just do that one more time. And there we go. They are locked together. So now I'm going to grab a bolt, and I'll thread it into my welding table here, and we'll grab some locking wire. Now, this is locking wire. Basically, it's a metal thread. This is aircraft grade stainless steel locking wire. It comes in a bunch of different diameters. I'm going to grab a little bit of wire here, and I'm going to use the built-in wire cutters to snip a little piece off, just like that. And I like to straighten it. That's a weird thing that I do. You don't need to do that, but I like to get it straight. It's easier to work with. And I'm going to wrap it around the bolt. Now, normally we would have a bolt that maybe had a little hole drilled in the top here. And that way we could attach it to other things around. Maybe we had different bolts or something. So I'm going to go ahead and clip on my pliers, again, by squeezing and sliding that little lever. And then once they're locked into the jaws, they're held firmly. And now, if I start pulling on the little silver thing here on the end, it has a little cam action, and they start spinning, and they make a really tight little coil. I'll do that from overhead so you can see it. As I pull, you can see there's a little cam action that allows it to turn like that. And now I've got a really nice tight little braid here where this wire is wrapped very clean and very tight and won't come undone. I'll use the clippers to clip off that piece, and now I have a really nicely finished bolt here. I have a really nicely finished mouse or safety wired thing. So I'm going to take this out of my table, and I'm going to put in 2 bolts. Now, this is something you might have if you're lashing valves together, for instance, and you don't want them to back out. So I'm going to grab a little bit more locking wire, go ahead and cut it with my cutters. And now I'm going to start by doing basically the same thing that I did last time. I'm going to wrap it around the first bolt. Again, I would probably be threading it through a hole in that bolt if that was something in maybe a valve or something like that that I wanted to lash together, or a castle nut that maybe I wanted to go through. And I'm going to start by going ahead and spinning the pliers. Super easy, always very consistent. And now, instead of cutting this off, I'm going to pop the pliers open. And I would normally take one side and thread it through another hole in a bolt or another castle nut, but in this case, I'm just going to wrap it around for demonstration purposes. And I'm going to grab the wire again in my pliers, so I'll situate it. And the end is sort of tapered to make this a little easier, so we can do that. I'll go ahead and pull, get that cam action going, spin that safety wire, and now we have one bolt after I cut this little piece here. Give it a little clip. And now we have one bolt that's connected to another via way of the little bridge of safety wire. So next thing is, often you'll see something like this. This is a D-ring shackle. It's got a pin in it, very often used for recovery. When the pin unscrews, it falls out. So if we, let's say, had a hook on the front of this is how the Camel Trophy trucks are set up. We'll go ahead and spin this shackle in. So now we don't want this shackle to come apart. It's sort of a part of our rigging now. So I'm going to run some wire through the shackle pin. And this is very common if you're doing rigging where you're overhead of people or something. But if you were to set up something semi-permanent and very important, you may want to mouse it together. So we'll go ahead, do the same thing, lock those pliers on, give it a spin to set our locking wire in. If you pull too hard or too often, you might actually break the wire. So it's a little bit of a balancing act, and cut off those tails. Those tails are razor sharp, so be aware of that. And now it's locked in. The pin won't back itself out, even though it's in there loose. It's not screwed in tight. There's no way for the pin to back itself out. Great way to secure things, make sure they don't fall out, and great way to keep stuff locked down in your rig. Now that you know everything there is to know about safety wire pliers, go ahead and get yourself a pair. They're available on Amazon or at your local hardware store. And stay tuned for more tip-top tool tips. We'll see you out on the trail.